The Nikon D610. Is this the best value full-frame camera for new filmmakers? Originally released in 2013, the D610 can be found on the used market today for a mere £600. Now, when you consider its original RRP was $1,800, this potentially represents incredible value. Featuring a full-frame CMOS sensor, the D610 can record video at 1080p at a mere 24 megabits per second. It is a 6-year-old camera, so no 4K or high frame rates here, and in fact you're stuck with a maximum clip length of just 20 minutes. But by now, the specs of the D610 are more than well known, so let's just jump in and look at the good bits of the 6-year-old full-frame DSLR. Now, the video output from this camera is genuinely really good. It produces a really nice and natural looking image without any heavy lifting at all in post-production. And in many respects, that's perfect for who this camera is now aimed at. It's going to be the type of filmmaker that doesn't want to be doing any sort of post-production to their video, but still getting a good looking image. And the build quality for this camera is genuinely superb. For what is now a budget camera, it looks and feels very much premium. Testament to that is the fact that we're using one that is 6 years old and it still looks and behaves like a brand new camera. And that leads us really nicely onto the value that this camera represents. For sure, there is some serious shortcomings which we'll touch upon later, but when you consider the price point for a full frame camera, the Nikon D610 represents incredible value. But with all that said, let's take a look at the bad bits of this 6-year-old DSLR. The autofocus is a contrast detect system which is painfully slow and really susceptible to hunting. In fact, at times it becomes unresponsive, meaning you have to manually jump in and grab focus yourself. This is compounded in lower light situations where a contrast detect system just doesn't work at all. So in reality, to get the best out of the D610, you're going to have to be grabbing focus yourself. The low bitrate of the captured video is definitely going to be an issue for anyone looking to do any color grading or correction in post. Being only 24 megabits per second means there's very little headroom to edit the footage without it degrading. In reality though, this camera today wouldn't be aimed at the type of video shoot that's going to want to be doing that kind of editing, and thankfully, the image quality straight out of the camera is good enough to allow for that. And finally is the ease of use for video shooters. Quite simply, this isn't a video camera, and that really shows when you get to use it. It quite clearly is a photographer's camera that just happens to shoot video. The menus and controls for video shooters aren't the most user-friendly, and for those looking to capture content in a rush, it becomes a real issue. That, added to the fact that it doesn't have a very good autofocus system, just generally gives you a feeling that the D610 is definitely not aimed at video shooters. So despite those shortcomings, the Nikon D610 is something of a bargain of a full frame camera in 2019. For those newer video shooters on a low budget looking to step into the full frame world, this represents a great option. So for some more information on this camera, there's some links below. And whilst you're down there, why not consider subscribing to the channel or even signing up to the Filmmakers Club on Patreon. That's been my grab and go review of the Nikon D610. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.